Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I try to talk to people from across the country about things you can do right here in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
I think the fans who have watched our show are going to love it because they watched our show, and I think the fans that haven't watched it are going to love it because it's new and it's exciting.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. 2025 is bringing big changes for small businesses. You know, everything from taxes and wages to new AI regulations. So today we have Gene Marks. He's a CPA, business owner, and columnist who writes on public policy, the economy, tech trends for major outlets. And he's here with some practical insights on what to expect and how to prepare for this season. Welcome, Gene. How are you, my friend?
Hello, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
All right. New administration, that means new policies. Do you see this more as this one is a little more business friendly for you?
Well, first of all, the National Federation of Independent Businesses just released their latest small business optimism survey. They reported that their small business optimism is at a 6-year high. And that's great news considering you got 33 million businesses that supply half of the GDP and half of the employees around the country. So a lot of small businesses are optimistic. But I got to tell you, when I talk to my clients and my readers, even though we do have a relatively pro-business friendly environment now in Washington, there are still a lot of rules, regulations, challenges, and uncertainties this year that a lot of small businesses are going to be dealing with. So buckle up.
Retirement, paid leave, minimum wage, they're all changing in 2025. What should business owners and employees kind of be watching for?
Sure. Well, at the national level for retirement, be careful. If you have a relatively new 401k plan, you're required to automatically enroll your employees in that 401k plan. Not enough businesses know about this. But for the most part, Dan, the whole thing on employment law, paid leave, minimum wage, retirement, overtime rules, all of that stuff is being pushed down to the state. So it really depends on where you're located and where your employees are and where your operations are. 30 states now have higher minimum wages than the national minimum wage. 70 local jurisdictions are increasing their minimum wages this year. Different states have paid leave and sick time rules as well. So you got to really keep up on it. And again, it's not just where you're located, it's where your employees are working as well. And a lot of small businesses have remote employees. You got to make sure you're up to date on their state's rules as well.
So are there any new expiring tax regulations that we need to keep an eye on before filing this season?
So, Dan, this year is going to be tax Armageddon, okay? So, 2024 is in the rearview mirror, so that's that. But 2025, there is a bunch of rules and regulations that will be expiring from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. If nothing happens, small businesses that are pass-throughs are going to see their taxes go up. Small businesses are going to have less deductions for buying capital equipment or spending on research and development. You and me, our standard deduction will be cut in half. It's a lot of changes that could happen. Now, the Trump administration and the GOP will be working hard, I think, to either extend or make permanent a lot of these regulations, but they have a slim majority in Congress, and the very legit question being asked is, how is this stuff going to be paid for? So I am expecting to see clarification by late spring, early summer. My advice to you, get with your accountant. If you don't have a good accountant or CPA, use the time now to find one so that they can advise you, because it's an opportunity to really save some money or protect yourself depending on when these new laws become reality, which I do expect to happen mid-year this year.
And AI, it's everywhere. Is it impacting small and mid-sized businesses this next year?
Yeah, I mean, in a whole lot of different ways, but one big way that it's going to impact businesses is regulations. I do expect the Trump administration to really kind of hang back on national regulations of AI, but 8 states this year are implementing new regulations and laws on AI, and I see that trend continuing. It's all about using AI to hire people and recruit people and manage them. This stuff can be biased, Dan, you know? So states are starting to come down on that, and businesses, even if your state does not have a new AI law, but you have a worker working in a state that does, you may have to be in compliance with that stuff.
And with so much on the horizon, what do you think a business owner should be doing or getting ready now to get prepared for some of these changes?
One word: outsource. I mean, there is no way, if you're running a small business, that you can keep up on all these tax changes and HR changes and AI rules and regulations. I mean, you can't do this. So you need to make sure you've got a good, accountant or CPA to advise you on the taxes. On all the HR and other compliance things, use a good HR firm. Paychex is a really good one. I have a lot of my clients that use them. They do all the regulations. They take care of all the paperwork. They know all the rules. You outsource all this stuff to a good HR firm like Paychex. They handle this stuff, all the compliance, to make sure that you're following those rules, and then you go out and you run your business. So if there's anything I'm seeing among my clients, what I'm telling them to do, the trend that I'm seeing is that business owners are throwing their arms up in the air and saying, we can't keep up with this stuff. We need to be outsourcing it, and that's what they're doing.
I'm absolutely in the same boat, running the show and doing all that. I'm like, I can't do any filing,
Can't
all
do it
that
all.
paperwork. I'm done with it. It works.
Yeah.
All right. Well, where can we go for more information, my friend?
Yeah, I mentioned Paychex because that's like probably the biggest issue for most small businesses. Go to go.paychex.com/2025. Paychex is spelled with an X, so it's Paychex. They have all the regulations in all the states, your state, and all the other ones that affect you, as long as like tips and advice for navigating your way around these regulations. So I think that's a big place that you want to start.
Hey, I know how to put people on TV. I just don't know how to fill out what form goes with what and why.
Well, now you know where to go.
Well, Gene Marks, thanks for hanging out with me this morning, my friend.
Thanks, Dan. You take care. It's a pleasure.
Have you ever dreamed of turning your living room into the ultimate sports zone? Well, you know, with the big game around the corner, now might be the perfect time to upgrade your TV or home entertainment setup. So today we have tech and entertainment expert John Couling, Senior Vice President at Dolby, here to share his top tips for an immersive experience. Welcome to the show, John. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
All right, when it comes to creating a home entertainment system, what should be top of mind for shoppers?
You know, what everyone says to me is the first thing they think about is how big a TV they can get, you know, how many out size. And what I say to people is also think about the quality. Think about the picture quality, and importantly, think about the sound quality as well, before you also think about just how big you want to go.
So what are some of the newest technologies that make watching sports or movies something that I want to be immersed into it? What makes it more immersive?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you think of that big game, right, what you want is you want to feel like you're stood there in the stands with the fans of your team, right? And so that's what we mean by immersion, feeling like you're really part of the action, you're really part of the scene. And there's two technologies I would tell people to go look for. One is high dynamic range, or HDR, and you see that as Dolby Vision. That means the best picture. And then for audio, Dolby Atmos. That's sound that's all around you and puts you right in the middle of that action.
So how can we get the most out of our setup without like over complicating things and, I don't know, overdoing it, I guess?
Yeah, and you know, that complication factor is actually important, right? People have really invested within the manufacturers and ourselves to make the setup as simple as possible, trying to make solutions that are really easy for people to be able to use. First thing I would say is think about your budget and think about whether you want to put that all into the TV or split it and use some of it for a sound bar because you really want to make the sound great.
And what's some of this technology that excites you the most, John?
You know, I'm really excited by how the creative industry just pushes the experience for us. And so, you know, we're now like we're there in the stadium. You know, I've got a wonderful Atmos system at home, and it really does feel like I'm at the game. And I love that every day.
So where can people go for more information and maybe learn more about these Dolby systems and get better, I don't know, get a better system for your home?
Yeah, so I would say check out dolby.com/home. There's a wealth of information there. You can find information about the technologies, about products, figure out the answers to your questions, and find the setup that works just for you.
John Couling, thanks for joining me this morning.
My pleasure, thank you.
So you probably remember the Thundermans. It's that family of super siblings trying to live that normal life. But they're back with a brand new spin-off called The Thundermans Undercover, where Phoebe, Max, and Chloe tackle fresh missions and new challenges. So joining me now are the stars themselves. We have Kira Kosarin, Jack Griffo, and Maya Lee Clark. Welcome, everyone. All right, let's start with the basics. What's Thundermans Undercover all about?
The Thundermans Undercover follows Max and Phoebe as the Hero League sends them on an extended undercover mission in a beach town called Secret Shores. They bring Chloe along for the ride, both for training and to help them with the mission to take down the mastermind, and also just so that Chloe can experience what it's like to live a normal life undercover rather than being a famous superhero. And it feels a lot like the original Thundermans series, but with some new, exciting, fresh stuff.
So what was it like coming back for the spin-off series?
I think we were all really excited about it after doing the movie after so many years and seeing that that chemistry really was still there. And it was just fun. It was just so much fun. I mean, me and Kira had the best time growing up on this show, and so to come back and get to like play the characters again in like a whole new way with new stories, 26 new episodes. I mean, we're just so incredibly lucky. And with this sort of new spin on it, we sort of come in these more mature parental roles for Chloe. We're kind of taking care of her on this new superhero undercover mission, like Kira said. But really, we want to give Chloe a more normal life, kind of like what our parents did for Phoebe and Max for us when we were kids, when we moved away from Metroburg to Hiddenville, kind of following suit and doing that again for Chloe because we see a certain pattern that's similar to to Phoebe and Max's upbringing as well.
So how do your characters grow and change in these new episodes?
With Chloe, I actually got to develop her character this season, which was fun because I used to be just a 3-year-old kind of saying lines, and now I get to really show off my acting skills. And I'd say she developed like a lot of independence and sassiness. She's been very sassy, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Phoebe and Max are always Phoebe and Max at their core. But as we've grown as people and as actors, each time we come to the characters, obviously you have more life experience and more to bring to the character. And obviously Phoebe and Max are in a totally new paradigm. They're basically raising a 13-year-old. They're also working jobs at Chloe's school. And so it's fun to get to see Phoebe and Max in that new position. They have, some new styles, some new wardrobe, some new energy. But at the end of the day, they're very much still Phoebe and Max, all of the things that make them them. Max is always fighting with his desire for fame and to be a good superhero. Phoebe is always fighting with her inability to somehow not make things worse, even though all she wants to do is be a good superhero and do great at her job. She makes a lot of puns. Max hates them. It's the old days.
Yeah, I would echo all of that as far as kind of what I was saying earlier about becoming sort of these guardians for Chloe, but also I see how we grown. I mean, I think in the original series, for example, Max was all about being a supervillain, and he grew a lot in that original series because he learned that that the good always wins and good prevails, and he ends up being a superhero. Like his family always taught him that he should be, and kind of like Kira touched on a second ago. Now, in the movie and even in the series, it's not about being his thing isn't being a supervillain anymore, but his thing is like this like fame of being a superhero and kind of getting caught up in all that and wanting to be a hero really for the wrong reasons. And so I think over the course of this season, we showed a little bit of it in the movie how Max sort of developed and his heart grew a couple of sizes and realized that it wasn't all about the glitz and the glam of being a superhero. And we kind of expand on that in the series, obviously. We only had a short time amount to do it in the movie, and we really expand on that, like I said, in the series. And he gets to be, like Kira said, we our undercover job at Chloe's school, and you know. Find out what's important again. I think Max is someone that is impressionable and kind of gets caught up in perception and as we all can. And so I think the overlying thing for my character is just what's important, cut the fat, what do we really care about, and at the end of the day, it's really each other and our family.
What do you think fans could look forward to the most?
I
Hopefully a
think
lot
lots of fun and lots of laughs.
Yeah,
Good.
a lot of guest stars from the original series, a lot of action. Jack throws a couple backflips. He makes a
I think
couple
it's
puns.
nostalgic, yet new and contemporary. I think the fans who have watched our show are gonna love it because they watched our show, and I think the fans that haven't watched it are gonna love it because it's new and it's exciting. And we have a lot of the same showrunners, all three, as the original show. So we had all that success on the original show. Kind of they're carrying over, all their all their amazing tools and talents to this new show, and I think every episode is great. And as the episodes continue to come out on Wednesday nights, I think fans are going to see us really hit a stride about mid season of this first season. So I'm excited to watch the series come out along with the rest of the world. So yeah.
Thank you guys. Be sure to catch Thundermans Undercover airing weekly on Wednesdays on Nickelodeon and streaming on Paramount Plus. Thank you so much for joining me, Kira, Jack, and Maya. Ever feel like your New Year's resolutions kind of fade away as soon as like February rolls around? Well, if that's you, don't worry, you're not alone. But when it comes to money, it's never too late to refocus. Today, we are chatting with Boaz Laovisky, head of JP Morgan Personal Advisors, about how to stay on track with your financial goals, build a solid plan, and why investing matters. Boaz, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Dan. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Why are financial resolutions just as important as those like health and fitness goals that we kind of set at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, financial health, such an important part of our overall well-being. You spoke about about New Year resolutions, right? If you're going to have a discipline about food, about exercise, why not have the discipline about your own personal finances? Because we know this. If you're going to buy that car or house 3 years out, you're not sure you have enough money, you're worried about retirement, what does that do? It creates stress, it affects our mental health. So if you have what we call a good financial plan, that really creates the steps, the investment vehicles with the right timeframes to make sure you have a better chance of reaching those goals. And we know that folks who have that really have much higher success rates for the long term.
So once we set these goals, how do we turn them into like an actionable plan? Can we really do this on our own, or do we really need help?
Dan, you certainly can. You can start on your own. In JP Morgan, you can open a self-directed account if you want to do it on your own. And we have a lot of tools that can help you. We have a tool called Wealth Plan, where you can even start setting your own goals and start developing that discipline and thinking about investing. So you can take baby steps. But, you know, for a lot of us, we could use a lot of help with our personal finances. We can use a professional. If you think about doctors, lawyers, they tend to not treat themselves, represent themselves in court. And so if you're working with a financial advisor, what happens is he will work with you and create a customized plan based on your personal goals, circumstances, and risk tolerance. And by the way, even if you know what you're doing, they can be really good co-pilots to help you think about things as they come, help keep you on track, and sometimes even avoid common mistakes. And we make it really easy to connect with advisors if you need that help. You can even do it through Zoom from the comfort of your home.
All right, let's just say I pulled it off. I have a great plan in place, but you know, life happens. You got some unexpected bills, maybe job changes, you name it. How do I keep my plan flexible enough to handle those twists and turns?
Yeah, that's very important. You know, you can count on the only constant in life is really change, and a lot of things can change. To your point, right? Markets can move quicker or slower than we plan, and you may have a life event you didn't plan on. You want to have another child. You want to get married earlier. Very important to check on your plan regularly. It should be a living thing. If you have a financial advisor, if something changes, reach out. But of course, you know, with us, we will reach out to you periodically to make sure you're still on track. But the key is here not just to wait for life to happen. You can plan for these what-if scenarios, and we have tools for that. We have goal simulators, scenario analysis that tests different market conditions, or if that life event happened, or you want to retire in Florida instead of New York. That has implications from tax, from expenses. So very important to do that on a regular basis, and a professional can really help with that.
And well, I think you probably, do you really need a lot of money to invest? Is that the case, or can you jump in with smaller investment?
Yeah, no, the trick is actually not to think about you can only invest with big pots. That's one of the biggest misconceptions. The trick is to start early, because the earlier you start, even if you start with a few $100, a few $1,000s, you got your money working for you for a longer period of time. And that's really the beautiful effects of compounding. You have a small pot, it gets some gains, that pot becomes bigger, and then that starts to grow faster or exponentially. So that's how you start. And once you have that discipline, we typically recommend to do what we call recurring contributions. Every few months, once a year, have a certain amount of money come into that plan. It really increases your chances of success. And it is February, right? We're still early in the year. If you happen to have a bit of a windfall, bigger bonus, tax refund, have some fun, have the discipline to take some of that and put that into your plan. And that is a really good muscle to have.
And for people that are like ready for the next step, where can they learn more to get started?
Yeah, Dan, ton of information on www.jpmorganwealthmanagement.com. If you happen to be a client already of JP Morgan Chase, you can do a lot of things from your mobile app. Plenty of research. You can start that wealth plan we just spoke about. You can even schedule a meeting with one of our advisors with a click of a button.
Boaz Lauvitsky, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Dan.
Do you ever wonder about your kids' safety with their gaming online? Even though Safer Internet Day was on February 11th, protecting children online is a year-round priority. So here to offer practical tips is Eliza Jacobs, Senior Director of Product Policy at Roblox. Welcome to the show, Eliza. Okay, Safer Internet Day was on February 11th. What is that day all about, and why is it so important?
Sure, thanks so much for having me. Safer Internet Day is a global day of action to promote the safe and positive use of technology for kids. And Roblox is really proud to support this initiative because we believe that we want kids to be safe not only on our platform, but really everywhere in their online lives.
All right, for viewers who might not know, can you give us a quick rundown of what Roblox is?
Yeah, Roblox is a global online immersive gaming platform where every day 90 million users come to learn, create, and play. They can join a fashion show or attend a concert or play a racing game all on the same platform.
All right, let's talk about some safety tips. What are some of the best ways parents could protect their children while they're gaming online?
Yeah, first, we really encourage parents to open their own Roblox account. So sign up for an account and create your avatar, find a few games that you enjoy playing, explore the platform so that you understand what you're talking about when you're talking to your kids about their online gaming experience. And then once you have that account, you can connect your account to your child's Roblox account. And once you do that, you'll have access to our full suite of parental controls. So you'll have visibility into what your kids are playing and who they're chatting with. And you can set spend limits and screen time limits all from your own Roblox account. And then once you've done that, we encourage you to play with your kid. Find a game that you guys can both enjoy, spend some time playing together, and that way you can open a line of communication about their gaming lives that can be available to your kids if they ever have a bad experience, and then they'll feel open to come and talk to you about it.
So how can parents approach the topic of online safety so kids feel free to speak up if something isn't feeling right?
The most important thing is that you are asking open and genuine questions about their online and gaming experiences, and that you let them know that they're not in trouble and that they're not going to get their gaming privileges taken away if they share with you that something bad has happened. And once you know about it, then you guys can work together to address it. And there's lots of ways to do that. So we have tools where you can mute and block players if you feel that they're harassing you. You can set up private servers to play with just your friends that you know. You can set additional parental controls for the kinds of content you want your kids to interact with. There's lots of tools, and we want to make sure that kids and parents feel empowered to use them to manage their gaming experience.
So where should parents go if they want more information or need help setting up some of these protections?
Sure, if you go to roblox.com/family center, there you'll see lots of information about our parental controls and all of our tips and tricks on how to keep you and your family safe online.
Eliza, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You know, tax season is here, and the IRS is now accepting those returns. So today we have CPA and TurboTax expert Lisa Green-Lewis, who's here to share with us ways that we can help maximize those refunds, navigate new changes, and avoid some of those common mistakes. Let's welcome her to the show. Lisa Green-Lewis, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
All right. You know, refunds are always top of mind. What can we do to try to get the most back?
First, I would gather all your documents in one place. You want to gather your documents that report your income, like W-2s and 1099s. But more important, you want to gather receipts and forms that show expenses that could be deductible. And then second, you can make a 2024 IRA contribution of $7,000. It's $8,000 if you're 50 and over. And you can do that by April 15th deadline. And you may be able to deduct that contribution.
And you said the deadline is when? April 15th?
April 15th for the majority of tax filers. Unless you've been impacted by a disaster, you may have additional relief. There was a lot of disaster last year, so you could check the IRS website to check on the latest updates on disaster relief.
All right, there's a lot of new rules and adjustments. Can you highlight some of the few that did stand out?
Yeah, so there's not substantial tax law changes for tax year 2024, but I want to highlight some that can help filers' tax outcomes. The first one is inflation adjustments. So one of them is the standard deduction, and the standard deduction was increased, and it's $14,600 if you're single, $29,200 married filing jointly. And then the second is the earned income tax credit. That is a substantial credit. A family with 3 kids, it's up to $7,830. And then another reporting change. So if you're self-employed or have a side gig and you have payments processed by a third-party processor like Venmo or PayPal, they are required to report your transactions of 5,000 or more. And I'm bringing this up because that is much lower than the previous 200 transactions and $20,000.
And TurboTax is it's a major financial tech platform. How is it helping people kind of file this season?
TurboTax is providing done-for-you filing experiences, and we also have some free options. So if you didn't file your taxes with TurboTax last year and you do your taxes yourself on the TurboTax mobile app, you can file your federal and state taxes absolutely free, regardless of your complexity. So you could be self-employed, an investor, no matter what your situation is, you could file for free, and that's by February 18th. And then we continue to offer our TurboTax free edition for simple 1040s only, and you can have earned income tax credit, child tax credit, student loans, no other schedules, and about 37% of filers qualify. And then if you don't want to do your taxes yourself, you can hand them over to our TurboTax Live full service experts and get them done for you.
And what are some of the most common mistakes that you see when people do file? And also to help those out that need an extension, what's the best way to kind of handle that too?
So one of the most common mistakes is just procrastinating, because people who wait until the last minute, they tend to leave important information off their return. Second, if you have kids, you want to gather the accurate Social Security number, because kids are worth valuable credits and deductions, but you need the accurate Social Security number in order to claim those. And then third, not filing at all. Some people might not make the IRS income filing threshold, but if you've had federal taxes withheld from your paycheck and you're eligible for some of the credits I mentioned, then you're leaving money on the table. And then your question about filing an extension, you can file with Form 4868 by the tax deadline, but just remember that is an extension to file and not to pay if you owe money.
All right, Lisa Green-Lewis, thanks for joining us this morning. Where can we go for more information?
You can go to turbotax.com.
Lisa Green-Lewis, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for Rise and Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, go to our website, riseunwindtv.com. Fill out the form, send us your info. Maybe we'll be talking on a future episode. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.